parasites smell good. Maybe I should clarify in today's episode of Life's Potluck Buffet, because in the world of parasites, there are a couple that create very sought-after fragrances from a couple of very expensive materials. On today's episode of Life's Potluck Buffet, we're talking about parasites, and specifically smelling like a parasite. Do I smell like a parasite? Be honest with me. This is John Paulus. You're listening to Life's Potluck Buffet, only on YouTube. If you've been enjoying Life's Potluck Buffet, please subscribe. And if you've already subscribed, thank you so much. If you have a Brave browser, you can now contribute basic attention tokens to Life's Potluck Buffet with John Paulus on YouTube. Thank you for your support, and thank you for listening. The word parasite in English gets a bad rap because we basically use it in modern, contemporary English to describe a person who leeches off of others. Oh, you see leeches off of others. That's a parasite pun because the leeches are, some are parasitic, meaning that they live on or in a host creature, and that's where they get their fundamental sustenance. And that's why parasites are called parasites, has everything to do with sustenance, because the original meaning of parasite is a person who eats at somebody else's table and was reliant on that person for their food. So that's what the original parasite is. And it wasn't always a bad thing. It's a lot of times it was just a fact of a social or military or other structure that was in place that created hierarchies of who provides the food or is thought of as providing the food and who is dining alongside them. But the negative connotation of the word in the end won out, and now we don't have any really positive connotations left of parasite. And so we tend to use it always in a negative context. But in nature, it is a common thing, parasitism, where another organism, whether it's an animal or, in the case of today's show, some plants, that requires a host to have dinner. And so today I want to talk about two woods that are, one is a parasitic wood, and the other smells good because of a parasitic fungus and doesn't have really much scent at all unless the parasite is present and causes it to make the scent. We'll get to that in a second, but first I want to start with the parasitic wood. There's one parasitic plant that you probably know about if you're listening to this, and that's the mistletoe. You know the mistletoe, which in Christmas celebrations, it's hung up, and if two people are underneath the mistletoe, they're supposed to kiss, which is apparently a tradition that started in the United Kingdom and continues today and spread around the world as part of a set of Christmas traditions. And the mistletoe, which is native to those parts and parts of Europe as well, is a parasite. It grows on trees, and it relies on trees for its food. And it has this thing, or these things, called a haustorium. And haustor is to kind of draw off of, and you get the point, is that they're kind of like root-like structures. They're kind of veiny-looking things, and they attach to the tree, and they use the tree's resources to survive and need that. And so that's a good example of a parasite that you probably know about. In that same family of parasites, and the plant for whom the family is named is the sandalwood tree, as we call it in English. The original name for it in Sanskrit was chandana, and that made its way to English through various other languages and became sandalwood. And the sandalwood tree grows in India and Indonesia and northern Australia, and it thrives in dry tropical forests, which really plays second fiddle to, I feel like, the tropical rainforests. And dry tropical forests are found around the world and not not uncommon. But the sandalwood is a kind of partial parasite insofar as it uses those same haustoria, the things that draw off other trees, and it uses those veiny-like things to draw nutrients from the roots of other trees. And there are a whole bunch of species of trees that sandalwood can grow on. And basically it's growing as a tree, but the root system is drawing on the root systems of other trees as opposed to simply just drawing on the nutrients from the soil. So that makes it a parasitic tree because it requires the roots of other trees in order to get certain nutrients. And that is really cool. Now, sandalwood is important for its fragrance. You may have smelled sandalwood before. Yeah, you may be familiar with it. And it's extremely expensive because of over harvesting. And apparently, the Indian sandalwood has more of an essential oil that produces the scent, alpha santalol. There's also beta santalol, and those are the sandalwood oils that are important to this to the scent of sandalwood. And apparently, the Indian trees produce more of that. The ones in Australia produce less of that, and so the Indian sandalwood oil is more expensive than the, say, Australian one. And now there's attempts to grow sandalwood in a sustainable way, and there's a lot of sustainable cultivation of sandalwood going on because that had to happen. Otherwise, sandalwood, especially in the Indian sandalwood, might have gone the way of some of the dinosaurs we were talking about the other day. Remarkably, there's another tree that produces other highly valued scented oils that is also very expensive for some of the same reasons of the depletion of the stock of the wood in the wild, and that is a wood called agar wood. And this agar wood, which has been reintroduced into certain areas like Sri Lanka, where it had been lost, the agar wood is a wood that only produces scent when a parasite is present. And that parasite is the Phytoacromonium parasitica. See, it's even in its name, which is a fungus. Because agarwood doesn't have much of a scent when the fungus isn't present. But when it gets infected with that fungus, which itself is a parasite of the agarwood, and the agarwood itself is not a parasitic tree, but the fungus is the parasite. And in reaction to that infection, the agarwood produces a black resin, and it is the presence of this that makes it scented. And so only infected heartwood can become scented because of that resin, because of the reaction to, and its immune reaction to the parasitic fungus. So that's agarwood, and extremely expensive as well. I have not smelled agarwood's fragrance that I know of. If you have, let me know. Apparently the smell is so complex that it's actually hard to describe. If you look at attempts at description of it, I'm not sure that they're going to be that helpful. You kind of just have to smell it to know it. I guess that's true for pretty much everything. But this doesn't have like an easy parallel elsewhere. It didn't say like, oh, well, it smells like vanilla. Although that may be one of the notes in the tree, it doesn't smell like that. And so I guess you really need to just smell it to get all the notes. Now, let's ask the cards for some valuable advice about our work and lives. So, yellow lemons, blue dumplings, magenta noodles, cards. Tell us something. It's card 50. Consider one strength you have. What is your signature strength in any circumstance you find yourself? Now, apply that strength to every problem you encounter. Give yourself a secret title that reflects that strength. And just to reveal the secret right now, say it out loud. So I am going to say that I have a really good sense of smell, and that is definitely a strength today when we're talking about perfumes and fragrances. And so I will be calling myself Smelltastico, and I'm going to use that strength to sniff out everything that I need today. Is this where I say smell you later? I think so. I'll see you tomorrow.